I guess you could say he's Dylan gone Holloway. Huh? Anybody? Come on, man. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Better Lait Than Never. Shit.
I'm not actually inside a women's prison at the moment.
The horniness just went up to like 11.
All right, let's turn it down. Who cares? Who cares about the intro? Shout out to the audio department for helping me get this podcast off the on the rails. Over a year ago, they are the title sponsor of theaudiodepartment.ca. Go check them out for all of your recording needs here in the city. Theaudiodepartment.ca. You can book some studio time right there if you are deciding to do a podcast quite something like this one. Or don't. Do a better podcast than this one is what my recommendation would be. Today is going to be an interesting episode of the podcast, I'm thinking, because my complex is getting new shingles put on it. And today is my unit's turn to have all the shit drug up on the roof, and they're starting to take stuff off. I can see things flying by my window as I'm recording here, and the banging, as you can imagine, Frank's not a big fan of it. Frank's not a big fan of people on the roof. He's rattled by it. Every time he goes outside, he just stares up on the roof and barks at them, which I respect. He's a good guard dog. However, we shall see how far into this podcast I get before everything gets derailed. I'm back from vacation. It was nice. You ever go on vacation and not realize how tired you were before you went until you were there? That was me. I like to work. I love my job. I think I'm very lucky to do what I do. I love the Nation Network. I love Oilers Nation. I love all of you that listen to this, read the articles, read the tweets, all that stuff. But what I didn't really notice was how burnt out I was until things that were just peculiar while I was gone last week. I am one of those people where when I was a kid, I never thought this would ever happen to me, but I'll wake up 7:30, 7:45, even without an alarm. That's just how it goes. Alarm goes off, I'm up. Sometimes before the alarm, you get it. However, on my vacation, I was sleeping until 10, 11, noon a couple of times. What the fuck? I didn't really realize how burnt out I was. So it was good to get away. It was good to go see my boyfriends in Blink-182. I love that band. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like Blink, and that's fine. But for me, I think they're so much fun. They just kind of fountain of youth kind of concert. And every time I go see them, this was probably number 8 now, I think. Every time I go see them, it's one of those ones where they play the songs I want to hear and they tell the dick jokes and they still kind of look the same. A little bit older, but of course. And I ignore for 2 hours the fact that those guys are in their late 40s, early 50s. Because that means I have to acknowledge that I'm 39 years old. And nobody likes you when you're 39. But the concert was amazing. Only downside of going to see Blink at Rogers Centre in Toronto was that venue is tough, I think. Now, my seats were good, so I got a good view, a reasonably good view, though I do think I spent quite a bit for tickets and still felt like I was 9 miles away. But again, Rogers Centre, baseball field, I get it. Sounded good. I could hear them tell the jokes. I could hear the songs well. I could hear the instruments well. But then as I was reading on Reddit, as I got back to the hotel room after, there was a bunch of people who did not feel the same way. There was a bunch of people who just didn't have the same experience. It was all muddy. They couldn't hear them talking. And I go, well, that venue is tough. Because when I saw them at Rogers Place last year in Edmonton, that place was buzzing. And while I would say it was a lot of fun to go see Alexis on Fire, though they only played 7 songs, way too short. And see 40,000 Blink-182 fans, Alexis on Fire fans, Blink t-shirts everywhere is my point. Everybody was having a good time. I don't know. It's just the largeness of the space made it feel like it wasn't as hoppin' as I know it was. If you go see videos from the Toronto show of when they play I Miss You and they do the Where Are You, the meme, that place was electric. Stay Together for the Kids was fantastic in there. But I don't know, it felt weird. The next day I rented a car. By the way, driving in Toronto is not fun. I would not recommend. So I rented a car. We went out to Niagara Falls just for a night. And I figured, it was kind of a little bit of an impromptu trip in the sense that we were just like, well, what do you want to do the day after the concert? And then it was like, well, Niagara Falls is only an hour and change away. Renting a car downtown Toronto to get out onto the 403, I guess. That's an adventure, man. I don't think I'm going to complain about traffic in Edmonton as much. Having driven in Toronto, having done the playoffs in LA, having experienced Dallas, I think that we're doing all right. Let me tell you, well, Google Maps said Toronto to Niagara Falls was like a 90-minute drive. Guess what? Took us longer to get there than that. That road and the drivers thereon, absolutely bananas. Just nuts. So we do the night at Niagara Falls, had a really, really cool view of the falls from our hotel. It was awesome. Just chilled. Didn't do anything. Went for some cocktails, nice dinner. But like overall, nothing. It was just about chilling out. Had a good time. Started pouring rain. We're like, fuck it. Went out in the rain, got wet, watched the fireworks, did all the Niagara Falls things you would do except go to the casino, I think. So it was just a nice, relaxing day. Next day, which would have been Saturday, hop back in the car, drive back into Toronto, redo the stress of driving in Toronto, drop the car off, go to the hotel, chill out in the pool, have dinner with my boy Eric Johnson. It was great. And then the next morning, I think I'm coming home. I didn't come home. I go to the airport. I take the Uber ride out to Pearson. It's a 30-minute ride, 35-minute ride. Could be longer. Took over an hour to get into Toronto from Pearson. Depends on the traffic and the time of day. So it was about a 30-minute ride out to Pearson. Clear security, do the things, go into the lounge, have a drink. And then I wander down to my gate at the time of boarding, expecting to get on my plane. And then when I look outside the window at our gate, I see no plane there. And I go, uh-oh. I've seen this movie before. And I don't like the ending. But you know what? We're going to leave it at that. Because that's the RSB today. I'm going to talk about travel delays. It is a first world problem. I acknowledge that. But I'm going to complain about it because it was annoying. And I had to stay in Toronto 2 extra days than I was planning on it. But we'll get there in a minute, won't we? Nobody cares about that. At least not right now. We want to talk about Oilers because what a week. I did a podcast last Tuesday. Even though I was supposed to be on vacation, I actually did 2. And I was going to do one last night when I got home, but I was exhausted. So I didn't. An emergency episode of the podcast with yesterday's news. So we're going to crowbar it all into today. Let's get to the news. The news is brought to you by Star Mechanical. Star Mechanical is one of Edmonton's biggest locally owned and operated plumbing and heating businesses. They've been working within the community for over 20 years. Many of the homes built right here in Edmonton over the last 2 decades have had their plumbing and heating installed by Star Mechanical. They offer 24/7 emergency services. Go to starmechanical.ca for more details. When I did the podcast last Tuesday, just over a week ago, I cranked out those 2 episodes. The Oilers had just been issued dos offer sheets by the St. Louis Blues. There was a $4.5 million and there was a $2.2-ish million. Altogether, it was a lot of money. Oilers didn't have any money to spend. So we wondered, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? My prediction at that time was I legitimately thought that the Oilers were going to match the offer on Holloway, let Broberg go. But what happened was much more interesting than that. Now, let's look through the sequence of events here. Last week, offer sheets come through. We go, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Fucking St. Louis Blues, I hate them. That Dal Armstrong GM guy and Peter Chiarelli behind him, they're doing this to screw us. I hate it. They're doing this because of Stan Bowman, man. If this was Ken Holland, none of this would have happened.
That was all of us last week. You see the number and you go, oh, how are they going to make this happen? But over the course of the week, the Oilers got really interesting. They traded a 4th-round pick to the Vancouver Canucks for Vasily Podkolzin, who was a 10th overall pick the same year Broberg was drafted. So Podkolzin is an interesting case to me because he was a guy who came in with a lot of skill. He came in with a lot of promise. His rookie season in the NHL after coming over from the K, he had 79 games played with the Canucks in 2021-22. He had 14 goals, 12 assists for 26 points. The following season, he only played 39 games for the Canucks. In 2022-23, he kind of split the year between the AHL and the NHL. Last year, he only got 19 games with the Canucks, did not score a goal, got 2 assists. He had 44 games with the Abbotsford Canucks, 15 goals, 13 assists for 28 points. In 137 games played, he has only 18 goals, 17 assists for 35 points. And you go, weird. This is a guy who's a 10th overall pick, all kinds of promise in his first year. He's a right winger that shoots left. He's 23 years old. He's 6'1". There's a lot of stuff to like here. So what went wrong? What went wrong? And I think that's the question. Is this one of those ones where he needs a fresh start and maybe he can kind of turn it around? Remember Nichushkin? I'm not saying he's going to turn into that, so I don't even want to compare it. But like when Nichushkin was in Dallas, he was not the guy that he was when he ended up in Colorado. I'm hoping for that. But at the very least, I'm hoping for a player who can kind of come in and contribute. Once that trade went through, I kind of went, I don't know that they're going to match Dylan Holloway anymore. Will they? But like, I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. He can go down to the AHL. He can go down to Bakersfield. Turns out that was more of a hedge than I expected. Then the Oilers went out and traded Cody Ceci and a 3rd rounder to the San Jose Sharks for Ty Emberson. I was like, okay, they're doing a cap dump. They're getting a reasonably good player. Actually, you know what? The more I read about Ty Emberson, it seems like he is Cody Ceci, albeit slightly better at a 1/3 the price. Now, I've never watched him play outside of the games that the Oilers would have played against the Sharks when he was in the lineup. The Sharks were so bad, it's hard to get a read on what anybody does there. But anyway, I thought that move was like, all right, okay, Cody Ceci gone. Now you put Kane on the LTIR to start the season. They've got the money to match both. Oilers have figured out their cap issue. They're going to match both. We are cruising. But then what happens? Yesterday morning, I land in Edmonton after my flight in Toronto. The news is already out. Offer sheets not matched. Not only did the Oilers get the original compensation, which was a 2nd and a 3rd round pick in 2025, but they also managed to squeeze out a sweetener. They got the prospect Paul Fisher, who was a 5th round pick in the 2023 draft, and a 3rd round selection in 2028. I guess when they made those cap moves, when they made the moves to kind of make it look like they could match, they were calling St. Louis's bluff. And then they made St. Louis pay them extra to not match. At least that's my guess. I obviously don't know. But that's what it looks like. If I was the St. Louis Blues, I don't know, like they must have really wanted those two guys because why add in the sweetener? Now, who knows if Paul Fisher's ever going to do anything? 3rd round picks, they don't mean anything to me, but they're trade bullets. They're bullets in the gun for the trade deadline. The other thing that not matching those guys did is, and I'll get to losing them in a second, but the other thing that does is the Oilers now have about $980,000 of cap space per Puckpedia, and that is with Evander Kane on the lineup, in the roster. On the roster, in the lineup. Now, the Oilers can go to, if they so choose, they can go to game 1 of the regular season, put Kane on LTIR then, and start accruing cap space for the trade deadline. If they had matched both Broberg and Holloway, they would have had to put Kane on LTIR before the season started and would not have accrued a cap space toward the trade deadline, at least as I understand it. At least that's how I understand it. So from a cap perspective, the Oilers actually got some really tidy work done here. Now, all of a sudden, they've got plenty of space to start with the season with a full roster. They're going to be able to accrue cap space as the season rolls along. And they don't have to have a big, oh shit, what are we going to do moment if or when Evander Kane becomes healthy and needs to come off the LTIR. If they had matched both Holloway and Broberg, and Kane had to come back off the LTIR because he was healthy and needed to play, they would have been in a world of hurt. Now, losing those players is not ideal. I think we all had them penciled in, probably written in pen, to be contributors on cheap deals this coming season. Hell, I probably said it a million times. I wasn't worried about offer sheets. Those don't happen. They never happen. Offer sheets? They wouldn't disrespect each other like that. But then they did. So they had to make a choice. And after 24 hours of hindsight and thinking about it, I actually don't mind what they did or didn't do. I don't mind. Now, I don't know what Podkolzin's going to do. I have no idea. As I mentioned, 18 goals in 137 games. But you look at Dylan Holloway, who you would think Vasily Podkolzin is replacing. In 89 games, he has 9 goals. So let's do some math here. So we'll go 9 divided by 89. That is 0.1011 goals per game times 82. Wait a minute. I'm not doing this right. Times 43 minus 6 added by 14.
What are you talking about? Are you even doing math or you're just making shit up?
I'm kind of making things up. But, okay, so there we go. Dylan Holloway scored goals every 0.1 games he would get a goal. Does that make sense? Podkolzin, 18 goals divided by 137, 0.13. So Podkolzin actually has a higher scoring rate of goals in the NHL than Holloway does. Does it mean anything? No, it doesn't. Podkolzin is a 23-year-old. Dylan Holloway is 22. The age is pretty similar. I like the bet. I like the way they covered it. I don't know why the Vancouver Canucks gave up on Podkolzin for a 4th-round pick, though. That I don't understand. Like, that one I don't get. I get if you're like, all right, change of scenery. This guy's not going to do anything for us. But to trade him to a divisional rival for such a late-round pick, when I was cruising around on Twitter, everybody was kind of confused about that in Vancouver, that is. So, I don't know. What I did do, though, and this is going to be an article that comes out at OilersNation.com in a little bit, is I asked my boy Quads, and he's going to come help us now, about, from my side, this was the question to him, and this is me. From my side of the computer screen, trading a 4th-round pick for a guy who went 10th overall seems to be a reasonable bet by the Oilers. But you, a Canucks fan, I want to know how you see this trade after following Podkolzin since he got drafted. And here's Quads' answer.
I love the bet for the Oilers. The only thing I'd say is keeping Holloway at 2.2 and giving up on that 3rd-round pick instead of giving up a 4th for Podkolzin probably would have been the better bet. If it was a make or break time in Vancouver for Podkolzin, it's definitely going to be in Edmonton because you can't put him on waivers. It's almost already make or break time for Podkolzin in Edmonton too. Give him the opportunities. Make it clear to him that mistakes are going to happen, but they're okay. You could potentially have a 40 to 50 point guy on your hands, and you got him for a 4th-round pick.
Needless to say, Quads loves the deal from an Edmonton perspective. He's an oil man.
I'm an oil man.
So we'll see what happens, right? I don't like losing either of those players. I'm just going to put that on the record. However, thinking about it, looking at the cap numbers, looking at where the Oilers are at, listening to Bowman's press conference afterward, I get it. I get why they didn't do it. I actually think that 4.5 for Broberg is a lot, given that he had, a small stretch of really good games in the playoffs. There's no taking that away from him. He was legit. He came in for Vinny. He was in a tough spot against Dallas, and he made it work. He scored some big goals, played well, kind of knocked Desharnais out of the lineup. And that's what a lot of us thought were going to happen this year. But life doesn't go that way. But 4.5 for him, I would have thought that would have been a lot of money. The 2.29 for Dylan Holloway, I thought, that's probably about $1 million more than the Oilers offered him. Apparently, they offered him, both players, multi-year deals at about 1.1, 1.2 in that ballpark, give or take. So if you add an extra $1 million onto Holloway, I kind of went, okay, it's not crazy. They can make that work probably. And after the 2 years, you kind of extend. Didn't want to do it. Then when I watched Holloway's like kind of intro Zoom call with the Blues yesterday, this could be tinfoil hat me 100%. I don't know the kid from a hole in the wall, but he didn't look overly happy about signing a contract with the St. Louis Blues. Normally, he's very smiley. He's very smiley and happy when he does press. He was not on that call. Again, change is scary. Change is different. He had to sign it. But my tinfoil hat theory is, do you want to know what it is? Of course you do. My tinfoil hat theory is that his agent convinced him that the Oilers were going to match. No one will ever admit this, nor will you read it anywhere or see it anywhere unless one of the insiders breaks the information. I personally think that Dylan Holloway thought the Oilers were going to match because it was $1 million more probably than they offered him. And they're going, $1 million, they can figure that out. $1 million back in Edmonton, baby, gang's all here. That's what the look on his face told me. Again, I'm no body language expert. I'm not pretending to be. He just didn't look happy about, setting himself up for life. Had a chance to win with the Edmonton Oilers. You signed an offer sheet with a team who's going to be junk. We'll get to that in the betting talk. When I watched the Bowman presser on it, I thought some of his quotes were interesting, and we're going to have Satan help read those out. When considering the offer sheets, Bowman said,
"We took our time and exhausted all opportunities and decided not to match. This became a business decision, both short and long term. We move forward with the best moves going into training camp."
He also went on to say it wasn't really about the players, liked the players. It's about the money. It's about looking ahead at what's coming and making sure that the Oilers have the money to handle some pretty big extensions. We all know, we were talking about it all summer so far, Leon Draisaitl needs an extension. That's going to kick in next year. Well, we got one more season, year after that. Connor McDavid, he's going to need an extension. Evan Bouchard's going to need an extension. That's a lot of money that's going to go on the books that the Oilers need to make room for. And having a guy like Broberg at 4.5 for the next 2 seasons, even though he's probably about a quarter of that where he should be right now, based on experience, level of play, I get it. And I would also be stunned to see the Oilers keeping those picks beyond the trade deadline. The second and the third, even the third in 2028, those are going to be out the door ASAP, right? Speaking of draft picks, another interesting thing about it is all 4 first rounders from the Holland era. They're all gone. Broberg, gone. Holloway, gone. Bourgault, gone. Reed Schaefer, gone. All included in, transactions, I guess. The first 2, obviously, the offer sheets. Bourgault, gone. Gave up on him. He wasn't doing what they needed. Reed Schaefer, part of the Matthias Ekholm trade. I asked my boy Stephen Ellis when he was in town. He wasn't a fan of him anyway, so I don't feel like it's a loss. But 4 first-round picks, all gone. All gone. When asked what's next for the Oilers, Bowman said,
"Nothing is off the table at this point. Doesn't do us any good to close doors, or any doors right now. Part of my job is to look at the options we have. Whether it's through additional trades or free agent signings in the market, I intend to do it all. I don't know that it's going to happen or anything's going to come of it, but that's what my job is."
Yeah. I'm curious if the Oilers are done. I think they're probably, now they're going to be capable of doing PTOs. I think that $1 million of cap space could be interesting, depending on who you waive. Could be more than $1 million. It's going to be interesting. The Oilers just gave themselves some options, I guess. And while I'm sad that Holloway specifically is gone, and to a lesser extent Broberg, by the way, it is kind of funny that a bunch of Oilers fans, just after a short run of games in the playoffs, went, "Broberg, you gotta lose Broberg. You pay him anything he wants." After, earlier in the season when the word came out he asked for a trade, it was like, "Get out of here for a late round pick. Who cares?" Well, you got that second round pick for him. You got that second round pick. The other thing, the Cody Ceci trade, I don't know that I've seen the fan base happier. Like, he's been getting traded in, fictional trades since the day he signed that contract. In 3 years with the Oilers, I thought Cody Ceci did a good job for what he was. Was he overpaid? Sure. Was he up too high in the lineup? Yep. I don't blame him for signing it. Again, he was healthy too. First game with the Oilers, 78 games. Second year with the Oilers, 80 games. Last year, 79 games. The guy was always healthy for us. And, I think that's an interesting note when I think of Cody Ceci. Last year with the Oilers in 79 games, he had 5 goals, 20 assists for 25 points. Ty Emberson, let's see how he did with the Sharks. In 30 games, he had 1 goal, 9 assists for 10 points. So, they're basically producing at the same rate. Although, if you listen to Bruce Kurlock, and I do, he says Ty Emberson is a beast in the defensive zone. The Oilers obviously need more guys who can keep pucks out of their net. If Ty Emberson can help do that, I'm all for it. If he's cheaper, better Cody Ceci, I'm in. But I also don't want to disrespect Cody Ceci here. I think that he was a fine Oiler, a handsome Oiler. And I do think legitimately that he got a little bit of a raw deal from the fan base. He was fighting above his weight class. I don't begrudge him for that. That's on a management thing. Also, the cap crunch, that's not on these guys either. We talk about the Nurse contract being an overpay. There's some other overpays in the lineup, probably by $1 million or $500,000 here and there. That all contributes to why they couldn't do anything with these offer sheets, but that's the salary cap world, baby. That's the salary cap world. So I want to say goodbye. I want to say goodbye to Cody Ceci. I want to say goodbye to Hugo, his dog, who's very handsome. The moves the Oilers made to trade for Vasily Podkolzin and Ty Emberson while moving out Cody Ceci will afford the Oilers $8.171 million in cap space with Kane on the LTIR, instead of having to match the offer sheets for Broberg and Holloway. So the Oilers gave themselves a bunch of options here. They gave themselves a bunch of options. I think that number's right. I got to go to Puckpedia and confirm. I was just quoting from Zach's article. I just don't know the timeline on this. In other news, we got a couple of quotes on Evander Kane's health, and Bowman said, listen, it's not up to him, it's up to Kane, and it's up to the doctors. Here you go.
Whether he's going to be out for a little bit of the season or if he needed surgery, a longer part of the season, we don't have that information. I don't weigh in on that. And that's something that he's going to sort through with the doctors.
So we'll see what happens with Evander Kane. All I know for sure is that if Kane goes, I'm healthy to play for opening night, the Oilers now have the space to have him in the roster. If he has to get surgery and go in the LTIR, they're going to accrue even more than they could. So there you have it. By the way, don't follow my number about the... don't follow my cap hit number. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can find one for real. Now I feel like a goose reading information that I don't know is accurate. But maybe it was. It might have been. Could have been. Might have been. Scrolling Puckpedia. Beniers contract. That's a lot of money for Beniers. Whew, mama. Matty Beniers, 7 years, 7.14 per. Didn't have a great year last year. Speaking of which, offer sheets. Doug Armstrong said, this is a tool that I think everyone uses and should use. I think it was reported that I wouldn't have done this to Ken Holland. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Quite honestly, I'd have done it to my mother if she was the one managing the Oilers. Gross. Bear with me here. Still scrolling. Yeah, Broberg 4.58, Holloway 2.29. That's a lot for those guys. I mean, not Holloway. I actually think Holloway's right? From Stephen Ellis. Paul Fisher had a solid showing at the World Junior Summer Showcase for Team USA. He's a stay-at-home defender that did look good this past year. Will he be an NHLer? I don't know, but a good piece to snag for a pipeline on a weaker side. Okay, here we go. The tweet from Puckpedia. With the Oilers not matching on Broberg and Holloway, they have $946,000 in projected cap space for a 21 healthy player roster plus Evander Kane. With no moves, this can fit $4.4 million in annual cap at the deadline, or they could submit a roster including Savoy that's $59,000 under the cap, put Kane on LTIR, and be able to exceed the cap by $5 million while Kane is out. They would not accrue cap space, though, in this plan B, when later exiting LTIR would start at zero space accrued. So I think that they're going to leave Kane as a healthy player on the roster, and they will just kind of go from there. Finally, we're closing out the news with a goodbye to a very handsome gentleman. Oscar Klefbom officially retired from the National Hockey League yesterday. Founding member of the All Labs team, Klefbom was a stud both on the ice and off the ice for the Oilers, and it makes me sad that he never realized his full potential. The body just gave out. His shoulders wouldn't let him do it. They said, "Uncle." And while Oilers fans desperately missed Klefbom, both on and off the ice, again, very handsome. It sucks that we didn't get to see him live out to his potential, because the 2016-2017 season, he had 14 goals that year in the regular season and playoffs, and it looked like he was turning the corner to become a legitimate number one defenseman. But it sucks, man. That's life. The Hockey Gourds played a weird and mean series of events on the Oilers. They lost both Klefbom and Larson in the expansion draft for nothing. And that is a quality pairing in the NHL. And nobody ever gives us credit for it. But that's okay. We don't need it. We shall move onward. We shall move upward. And that's the news. Star Mechanical. Visit starmechanical.ca to schedule an appointment and let their team of experts help you keep your home running smoothly. starmechanical.ca.
You're listening to Better Lait Than Sausage, your podcast for all dairy cows and herds about sausage. Oh, for God's sake, it's the wrong podcast again.
The big question for our friends at Oodle Noodle, where the vegetarian Manchurian is available still for a limited time only, as are the 4 for $4 torpedo shrimp. Or why not make it a meal anytime for $6.99 in store? Includes 2 spring rolls or a green onion cake with a drink. Do it. oodlenoodle.ca. Check out the menu. They're delicious. So today, the big question for Oodle Noodle. Hang on. The big question. There we go. How do you grade the Oilers' response to the St. Louis offer sheet? And why? Jumping into it right away, Kyle the Embalmer says, started with a bang and has slowed to a sizzle. It will be nice to accrue cap space during the season and have a good amount to use at the deadline. Team just needs to not have another 2023 October. Amen. Rhonda says, I give it an A. I'm sad Broberg and especially Holloway signed the sheets in the first place, but I don't think the Oilers could match either of them, especially not with other more established players on the team taking cuts to stay here. That is an interesting thing, right? At the same point, I don't begrudge the players for securing the bag. You have such a limited time to play in this league. Go get your money. But that doesn't mean we won't hate you. LCYEG says, I give it a B. Great to have the cap space, no LTIR, but it was a self-inflicted wound caused by bad management, and I worry we're not as good. Time will tell. Andy says, I'd give it a B. Declined to overpay when guys are taking discounts to stay. Sets an example. Made moves to find potential replacements. Managed to get extra prospect in a third compared to what would have been the comp. Be interesting to see what moves they make after the Ceci dump. Derek says, I give it a B. Would have preferred they not lose both from an asset management perspective, but I don't hate the flexibility they have. Rusty, the reckless optimist, friend of the show. A. He gives it an A. Sucks to lose them, but cap flexibility is more useful. The Oilers all all of a sudden have money to play with for every option at the trade deadline. Ari gives it a B+ for the offer sheet stuff, but D- on the overall asset management. Punishment for the overpayments and bad contracts over the years. I'm looking at you, Darnell Nurse. Bubba says I give it a B. The Oils' response makes sense given the spot Armstrong put them in, caught by surprise. I hope the Blues understand that what goes around comes around. Again, we're working through the big question for Oodle Noodle. Vitamin J says, just the response to the offer sheets? That's an A. He didn't give me a Y, though. Esplanadian says, there's no way to grade the non-moves until we see how Broberg and Holloway pan out. Boring. That's boring. Mike D says, it's a solid A. I don't think Broberg wanted to be here. Holloway probably didn't want to leave as much as Broberg, but the way Bowman was able to make the moves on Sunday to make it look like we were going to match and then squeeze them for a little bit more gets him an A. Groundskeeper Willie says, B. I love both players. I was going to get a Broberg jersey, but the cost was a little too high. Not matching Holloway, though? What the fuck? And finally, Jekka? Jeka. Jekka. Poor asset management started a long time ago with bad contracts that's been dragging on for a few years now. Current management did the best that they could in the situation. Neither player worth the money that they were given by St. Louis, at least not as of today. OodleNoodle.ca, go get yourself something to eat. Why not? Do it. Do it. Do it.
You're listening to Better Late Than Never with Bagged Milk, where facts plus bollocks equals factor bollocks.
Getting a lot of donkey bumpers in today. I just pressed random on my button and I got 2 donkey bumpers. If you want to send in bumpers, I'd love to have them. Would love to have them. Want to do a little betting talk. Bets of the Week segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Better Late Than Never. Open an account at Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use the promo code OILYBONUS. The promo code is OILYBONUS. 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 You know I love hockey futures. You know I love looking ahead. But I'm always looking for winners. I'm always looking on the bright side. Where are the Oilers when it comes to Stanley Cup odds? Are they going to win the division? What about the President's Trophy? This time, I'm going the other way. This time, and I love it. I got to say, I love it. Worst regular season record. So who is going to be the worst team in the NHL next year? This is a little bit mean and a little bit fun, and I love that it's offered over at Bet365. So you might ask yourself, who is leading in the clubhouse for the worst regular season record? And apologies to Cody Ceci, it is the San Jose Sharks at plus 175. They are favored to lose the season. Now, they did just get Macklin Celebrini, so maybe things turn around for them. Maybe not. Last year, the Sharks only had 47 points. They were 19, 54, and 9. Just awful. Next up, who would it be? Who's your guess? Do you have one? Columbus. It's the Blue Jackets. You guessed right. Last year, Columbus was 27, 43, and 12. They finished in 29th place overall in the NHL with 66 points. This year, at least according to bettors, they are looking to be the second worst team in the National Hockey League, followed by the Ducks. Terrible. The Blackhawks, up and coming, but still terrible. The Montreal Canadiens at plus 900. And then the Calgary Flames, plus 1,600 to have the worst record in the NHL last year. The Calgary Flames, if you don't remember, finished at 24th at 38, 39, and 5. Very mediocre as a team. I expect them to be terrible next year, and the bettors do too. Up next, the St. Louis Blues, plus 2,500 to have the worst record in the National Hockey League, which doesn't exactly bode well for Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway if they expected to play in the playoffs. They wanted a chance to win the Stanley Cup. At least according to bettors, it doesn't look like it's going to happen next year in St. Louis. They're probably going to be pretty bad, if not mediocre. And that might be a tough pill to swallow when you just left Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Chance to win this coming year. Expectations are high. But now you don't have that. Now you don't have that opportunity. At least not to play with Connor and Leon. So St. Louis Blues plus 2,500. The Flyers plus 2,800. Seattle Kraken plus 3,300. And the Sabres plus 4,000. That would be a 14th consecutive season out of the playoffs if the Sabres can't turn it around and pull it together. Another former friend of ours, Ryan McLeod, on that Sabres team. And, well, that's tough sledding, pal. That is tough sledding if you're ending up from a team who's a contender to one who's just, well, nobody expects anything from them. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use the promo code OILY bonus. That promo code, once more, OILY bonus.
I took her home from an Oilers game. I grabbed a beer and she asked for the same. I head back to the fridge for an IPA, but all I had was milk that's bagged. And that's about the time she walked away from me. Nobody likes it when you're out of cocaine or pull the RV with an Oilers sweater. Your rent truck isn't budging, host. I guess I'll just sit here and check out Better Than. There's nothing better late than never.
You want to see a man, boy? I'll show you a man. Kick me in the jimmy.
For Trilogy Oilfield Rentals, it is time for the righteous sack beating. Of course, Trilogy Oilfield Rentals are an established provider of tools and expertise across multiple oilfield disciplines, specializing in rentals, pipe recovery, abandonments, and completions. Currently, they maintain full-time operating units in Provost, Weyburn, and Kindersley. You want to know what kind of tools they have, and I want to tell you. Rental tools, fishing tools, drilling tools, coil tools, mills and bits, completion tools, any tool for any job. Visit TrilogyRentals.ca. I teased it earlier in the intro. The righteous sack beating this week, it's a first world problem. I admit it. I'm not going to say anything otherwise. But air travel in 2024 is a disaster. How is it that an unnamed airline allows you to get to your gate through security, Uber to the airport, and tell you at that point that your fucking flight is canceled? How is that the approach? Listen, I understand sometimes things happen. I know that it was probably canceled as a result of the hailstorm that happened in Calgary a couple of weeks ago. I got an email about that shortly after it happened. It said, hey, you got a flight coming up in a bit. It could be impacted. We'll let you know. But you didn't let me know. You didn't let me know until I was already there. And then when they go to reschedule me on another flight to come home, there's nothing for 2 days. And that's one of those feelings where you go, man, I'm just so helpless in this space. I've got no recourse here outside of filing receipts and doing the song and dance to get compensation for it. But who knows how long that's going to take? Who knows how long it's going to take for me to get any kind of response from them in regards to my issue. So instead of coming home on Sunday, as expected, I was supposed to be home at like 4 p.m., have a nice little dinner, get my dog from my old man's house, relax. Instead, I had to get 2 more nights in a hotel, 2 more Ubers to and from the airport, more meals. My missus had to take days off work that they weren't expecting, so that workload had to get shifted. I'm very lucky that my job allows me to work online, so I text Jay, I'm like, I'm not going to be there until Wednesday. Can't tell you when I'm going to get there. That's the plan. But as I saw today, my flight got canceled before I was at the gate. Who knows? Obviously, I got home as expected the second time, but it's just annoying. It's just annoying that airlines can still get away from this. And when you call in, you can't get through to anybody, even if you have priority like I do. And the guy, he was nice enough, and I was trying not to get angry because I know it's not his fault. And he just kind of goes, He couldn't get me on another flight with another carrier home. He couldn't get me on a flight before the one I ended up getting on Tuesday morning. He couldn't get me on a different flight with a different airline that wasn't a partner because they were full because of all kinds of issues. It was just a clusterfuck. and it's very annoying. So I'm very grateful I have the job I do and the flexibility to kind of work from anywhere. But man, I sat there at our gate as I was waiting on hold to try and figure out a situation on how I was going to get home. And I could just see other people that were supposed to be on my flight to Edmonton walking up to the gate, not having any clue our flight got canceled, seeing it on the board and going, what do we do now? I don't know how many people fit on an airplane. 300, 200, doesn't matter. 200 people on what was a full flight home all got screwed. And now it's going to cost the airline probably a bunch of money if we all submit our receipts and we all submit our claims successfully, which apparently is a thing. A lot of people on Twitter are very helpful. Even had some people from the carrier reach out to me that follow me on Twitter offering to help. The people are very nice. That is never going to be a righteous sack beating. The people that actually have to deal with the drama. I remember when I walked by the kiosk in the airport for that airline, you could see the stress on the people's faces that were working there because they had a full lineup. A full lineup. So I guess what's the righteous sack beating? Just the helpless feeling of trying to figure out air travel and when it doesn't go your way, being completely fucked. Surely we can fix this. Surely these airlines need to be better, no? Or may their stock price plummet into the ground. And there's the righteous sack beating.
You want to see a man, boy? I'll show you a man. Kick me in the jimmy.
It's another week on Better Late Than Never. It's another week of Nick crying in the voicemail, throwing temper tantrums. He is a baby, so small and frail. Does he need a bottle? Does he need to be burped? Does he need a diaper change? Cause why God is he such a little baby? Why God is he always crying? Will someone please give him shaken baby syndrome?
What an end. The voicemail is brought to you by A&W. Burgers to Beat MS Day is back. It's celebrating its 16th year tomorrow, August 22nd. For every teen burger sold on Burgers to Beat MS Day, $2 will be donated to Multiple Sclerosis Canada. In the lead up to August 22nd, you can support Burgers to Beat MS by rounding up your bill with any purchase at A&W, donating online at burgerstobeatms.ca, or through the A&W app when adding a donation option to your cart when ordering through delivery apps like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Skip the Dishes. A&W is rallying communities to unite for the cause and raise awareness about MS in Canada. On August 22nd, that's tomorrow, that's Thursday, Canadians can show their support and help envision a world free of MS by visiting a local A&W restaurant and purchasing a delicious teen burger to directly and positively benefit groundbreaking research and support for individuals living with and affected by MS. We've got a bunch of voicemails coming in this week. Got some that are a little bit older that probably came in after the last week's podcast when it came to the offer sheets. So now that we know how those worked out, if you bore me, I'm just going to skip it because it's kind of old news. I don't want to cut you off. I want to give you your take. So don't bore me. That's the rule. Got it? Good. This is DA on Broberg.
Okay, so woke up this morning to the news that Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway were offer sheeted by St. Louis, and man, this is just not what we needed. It really isn't. I mean, you know, part of me is kind of like, why didn't they get this deal done earlier? Like, I thought they would have been a lock at, you know, $900K and 1.1 or whatever they were going to pay Broberg and Holloway. And the fact that this is what it's come to, it seems like any way that they go, it's a lose-lose situation. Like, losing Holloway for a third-round pick is terrible. Losing Broberg for a second-round pick is less terrible, but still horrible. As this guy, you know, I feel like Philip Broberg was supposed to be the, you know, right side, left shot D that the Oilers have been looking for, gosh, how many seasons? And it's just really disappointing that this is kind of what it's come to. I don't really know what the right move is here because, as Tyler and Liam said on ON Every Day, I think you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because if you're signing, Philip Broberg, I think Philip Broberg is the player that you keep out of the two because I think Holloway is a little bit easier to replace than he is.
Curious to know what you would think, DA, now that it's all said and done. Losing Holloway for a third, not ideal, for sure. For sure. I honestly thought that they were going to match him. I said it a little bit earlier. But they didn't match either. They didn't match either. And I actually thought the work that they did leading up to not matching was pretty interesting and pretty creative. So it is what it is. But we have to move on. We have to move on, don't we? We have to. Anonymous caller, who be you?
All right, BM, 2 quick hitters for you. Number one of this, I'm only like part way through the fucking voicemails of last week, whatever. You're on holiday. Enjoy yourself, cunt. Thanks for putting up with all of us and doing all the work you do, but I didn't leave this voicemail just to kiss your ass, so let's move on.
Feel free to, though.
First point, you know how in The Office, not long after Michael leaves, because the real fans keep watching, Andy throws that garden party to try and impress Robert California, and then at the end of it, Dwight's like telling him all the packages about the events, and he's like, oh, this one has goats and this one... And he's like, why would you spend so much time explaining the goats? I'm clearly not interested in that. That is what I felt like when Woz was describing Game of Thrones. Sorry, Woz. Love you to death if you stop killing fucking birds. Cass won't put up with that. I won't put up with it either. And secondly, the Broncos are the Nick of the NFL.
Yeah,
so
I'm not going to be a Broncos guy.
What you will. Anyway, that's up.
I'm not going to lie. I watch, I know it's preseason. I know. But I watched the Bears game against the Bengals, and Caleb Williams looks fun. I got to say, the Bears might have an edge here right now, as of today. As of August 21st, the Bears might have an edge here. They look fun. First overall pick. Terrible last year, obviously. That's how you get that pick. Up and coming. City, that's cool. Chicago's cool. Merch is cool. I don't know. The Bears might be it. I had fun watching that game. I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect to, but I did. Jacob, you're up.
How you doing, Big Milk?
Hello.
I know you're on the market for an NFL team, and this is why you have to go for the Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. So at first, I didn't consider the Vikings. However, after watching receiver, Justin Jefferson is cool as fuck, man. He is putting up numbers that no other receiver's done. The purple is cool. I like the idea. When I was talking about this with Chalmers and Jay, they go, just find a player you like, follow him. That's cool. You'll get into the rest of it. Just ease your way in. Justin Jefferson, his whole shtick with the teeth and the hair and the characters, I'm into it. So Jacob, what do you got to say?
First off, the purple and gold jerseys with that Viking logo look so good.
They do look
US
good.
Bank Stadium. It's amazing. Everyone loves partying in there and dressing up like a Viking. And I know you love dressing up too. Now, I know they weren't the best last year, but that's okay. Because in a couple of years, we're going to have rookie J.J. McCarthy coming up as our next quarterback. Now, the most important part. Marshall Erickson from How I Met Your Mother. One of the biggest fans, and I hope that you can follow in his footsteps too.
Well, I appreciate that, Jacob. Listen, I didn't expect the Vikings to be in contention, but Justin Jefferson kind of put them there. I like the whole character aspect of what he's got going on. I do. And dressing up is fun. I do like dressing up, but again, that's why the Bears are kind of in the mix too. They like to dress up like Mike Ditka, and I think that's funny. If you don't know what they're dressed up as, the costume makes no sense at all. But if you know, you know. Anyway, Riley, you're up.
Fuck you, Doug Armstrong. Fuck you, St. Louis Blues. I had to Google GM of St. Louis Blues. Once I found out it was Doug Armstrong, I remember him. But I didn't even care that much to know you're GM of the St. Louis Blues. And you had to go out and do this to the Oilers. Come on. To quote your friend Dukes, not Ducks, or whatever. Go fuck yourself, mate.
Pretty close. Nailed it. Dukes, not Dukes. There's also the other angle from St. Louis that this is Peter Chiarelli. Peter Chiarelli's there too. He's trying to sabotage the Oilers. Sabotage, if you're, what's his name, Captain Kirk. Anyway, moving on. Waz, you're up.
Hey, Big Milk. Just a question for you.
What did you just call me?
Hey, Big Milk. Just a question for you.
Big Milk?
I want your take. Thoughts on rice pudding? I kind of like it. It's all right. Thanks.
I like rice pudding. I got no qualms with rice pudding. I haven't had it in forever, so I couldn't even tell you the last time I had rice pudding. My grandma used to make it. And anything your grandma makes, you're always going to like, right? Of course. Of course. Saw my grandma the first weekend of my vacation. It was lovely. Loved that lady. She's 95. Can you believe that? Fuck, that's old. Made a hell of a rice pudding, though. She asked me if I wanted to steal a bottle of wine for her. I was like, Grandma, you tell me to steal a bottle of wine for you, I'm absolutely going to do it. You just point your finger and you tell me where to go. I'm going to get it. Anyway, yeah, rice pudding. I'm down with you. Anonymous caller, who be you?
So props to the Oilers for making this otherwise uneventful offseason eventful. I feel like that no one else is talking about another team more than the Oilers right now.
They're
like
true.
Literally the face of the league right now.
That is true.
You
know what, Ari? Like I'm with you. If not for the Oilers, this offseason gets real boring. So all of you should be thanking us, specifically the Oilers, for being interesting. Anyway, back to you.
Sunday rolls around. Everyone's still debating on whether or not they're going to match the offer sheets. And boom, Cody Ceci is gone. And let me tell you, as a D1 Cody Ceci hater, I am not going to miss him. This guy sucked as an Oiler. He's got the face only a mother could love.
How dare you? He's very handsome.
Thank the Lord. Thank Jeff Jackson. This guy is gone. I love it. And now they have the casters to keep both Broberg and Holloway. And I really hope they do, because that will be a lot of fun. And the reaction is going to be insane. You know, from the people that really wanted them to, like, you know, have an L this offseason. So, you know.
Even though they didn't match either, I don't think that was an L for the Oilers, to be honest, based on what they did. Ty Emberson, I'm legit, based on talking to Bruce Kurlock about him, I'm legitimately interested in this player now, even though I had never heard his name before. Maybe I did watching the games, but probably not. Probably not. I don't know. I'm excited. We'll see. Anonymous caller, who be you?
All right, so just to preface this, this is more directed at real life. So, you know, sorry, or should I say real, let Chalmers talk about golf for 20 minutes and no one gives a fuck.
I wasn't on the shows, obviously, last week, so I don't even have the context what Dukes is talking about, but Chalmers probably talking about golf. Now, was Chalmers talking about his own golf game, professional golf, learning golf? There's plenty of options here with Chalmers. He can filibuster about any angle on golf.
I mean, side note, it was funny to hear Tyler say, Amber thinks she heard something touch, and then he said, yeah, but I think I'm still 6 inches short. Mind out of the gutter, Ben, you pervert. But also, yeah, I don't know, like, the more I think about it, like, obviously when I move over there, which, who knows when, I was like, oh, man, it'd be really awesome if I could be on the Real Life podcast sometimes, or twice a year or something, which is basically when Chalmers frequency anyway. But I thought, you've already got one fucking dickhead with a cowboy hat who no one likes listening to on there. So I'd be kind of redundant there. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, fuck, tell me more about your golf course being under construction, because that's awesome. Can you tell me more specifically about it? And also, like, I hate that Wanye doesn't have socials. Like, I feel like he needs to be taken down a few notches, and I don't have a direct line to do so. So, I don't know. Fuck. Hello.
Sounds like I missed some interesting episodes of Real Life while I was away. Did I listen to those shows that I missed being on? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. In fact, Wanye thought I was moving to Toronto. He didn't really. He goes, when are you coming home anyway? Do I have to go get you? I said, yes, you do. Apparently. Fly with the PJ. There was no PJ. I was on an economy flight. Next up, Waz, you're back.
Hey, Big Milk. question for you.
What is
thoughts
this?
and takes on something?
What is this? What is this new delivery of my handle / pseudonym / name? What is this from Waz?
Hey, Big Milk. Question for you. Want your thoughts and takes on something? The new chicken shop opened up in Edmonton. Chick-fil-A. What's your thoughts? Have you had it? Have you tried it? What's your favorite place to get chicken? Personally, I love KFC. I also enjoy the chubby chicken at A&W. Big fan of that. Never had Church's chicken. Never had it. There's a bunch around town. Never had it. But, yeah, just want your thoughts on chicken shops and your favorite one.
I have had Chick-fil-A. I had it a bunch of times in the States. It's good. It's good. But like when I was on Yegwave, I guess. When I saw that there was a lineup, like a multi-hour lineup to go to Chick-fil-A, no fucking way. Who are you? Who are you folks that are lining up for Chick-fil-A like that? I couldn't think of something I'd want to do less than line up for fast food and stand there for hours. Story. I was just at Blink-182. I led off the show with it. I was considering buying a t-shirt, a tour t-shirt, as you do at a concert. I looked at the line for my favorite band, and they have been since I'm about 12. And I said to the line attendee or whatever, I was like, how long do you think that's going to go for? And they go, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour. I'm like, fuck that. Never would I stand in line for that long for a t-shirt or for chicken. Now, my favorite place to get chicken, of course, is at A&W. Of course, it is Burgers to Beat MS Day tomorrow. Chubby Chicken is my chicken of choice, always and forever. But tomorrow, I'm a teen burger man. I'm a teen burger man, Waz. That's the way it's got to be. This one is interesting to me. This is Nick with a girl, like a real human one. Is this the Nick I'm thinking of? With a woman? Really?
There's no way it's a human girl. It's gonna be like some kind of AI voice or some kind of filter like the one you're using right now. I mean like Satan's voice or like Lil Quad. There's no way that kid met an actual human female.
So, Big Milk, Broberg and Holloway are now or St. Louis Blues, I should say.
Yes.
I can't wait to buy tickets to the Bowman-Armstrong barn fight, because that is going to be one for the ages.
I still haven't seen a challenge of a barn fight, and it's upsetting me. When the Dustin Penner offer sheet went through, Kevin Lowe and Brian Burke were challenging to each other to a barn fight immediately. And here we are, more than a week after, no barn fights to be found. Not one. Bullshit, I say.
But in all seriousness, I was really upset when it came out that they weren't matching, especially... You know, we're sitting there, we saw them get rid of Ceci yesterday, which seemed to indicate that, hey, maybe they were matching on one of them, especially considering Ceci is Leon Draisaitl's best friend. I can't help to think...
Connor McDavid's his best friend.
This is just me worrying and everything, but trading Draisaitl's best friend is probably not going to help him re-sign, but that's splitting hairs. You know what? I've calmed down to this. I understand what situation the Oilers were in. I'm not happy about the moves, but I understand them. But I will say, Big Milk, our right side of Bouchard, Stetcher, Emberson, Josh Brown. I don't know how I feel about that, man. I know, I thought Presto was an absolute moron for coming on here and ranting about defense all the time. I'm legitimately worried about that right side. I don't know how it's going to play. I'm very worried it could be just an absolute albatross on this team. I really am, man. Hope I'm wrong, though.
I didn't hear any girl there. I didn't hear a single thing about Nick with a girl. He could just call himself Nick with a girl, and there's no girl there.
I knew he didn't have a girl in his room. There's no way. The only girl he has in his room is Siri. We all know it to be true. Come on, Nick. Why are you lying in the voicemail handles? This is bullshit, man. We were about to be excited for you, and all you want to do is come on and go, oh, I don't want to worry about the red again side of the defense of the Oilers. When here we are expecting to hear from a lady. You teased us, Nick. You lied to Satan, you lied to Bag Milk, and you lied to Little Quads. Little Quads doesn't get to hang out with girls that aren't his fiance very much, so he was excited to hear what was going on over there. And now you've disappointed everyone. You've disappointed us once again, Nick. You've disappointed us once again.
Okay, so they don't match either of them. So now what? The cap space is good. The extra assets is good, but you got to do something with that stuff, right? I mean, look at that right side on the defense, man. Like, they're basically forced into adding someone in the middle of the season at the trade deadline.
I think that's the plan. I legitimately think that's the plan. But, like, so I'm with you both Nick with a not girl and with Ari. The right side is looking sketch outside of Evan Bouchard, who's going to be obviously the top pairing right D. However, if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, which it is Kool-Aid season and it's always going down smooth, if Emberson is actually Cody Ceci, but cheaper, that's a wash. Right? That's a wash. If he's actually Ceci-ish, but cheaper, that's a wash. Then the third pairing RHD becomes the issue. The Vinny slot. Then if you think about it that way, it's not as big of a short-term problem. Of course, it's not ideal. Of course, Presto's going to be leaving him voicemails, and he should, because the defense is not good enough to win a championship. But I also don't think it's that much worse or worse off than it was a year ago. I guess I wasn't a big Cody Ceci guy. Vinny got replaced in the playoffs. Again, Broberg's gone. I understand that. But again, if Emerson is Ceci, fine. Top four, more or less the same. That third pairing RHD, I think Stetcher can do it. Troy Stetcher is a player who has plenty of NHL experience under his belt. He's small. That's his problem, but he moves the puck better than Vinny. He won't defend as well as Vinny, but hopefully Emerson can be better than Ceci was at defending. And by all accounts, by everything I'm reading, by every metric you read, that seems to be the case. Again, it's Kool-Aid season. What else am I going to do? Back to you.
And looking at the free agent list of who might be available, I am uninspired, to say the least. There's not like an Ekholm type defenseman available, at least not right now anyway. So it is what it is. It sucks. It's a shame because I really liked Broberg and Holloway. More Broberg than Holloway because, and I said this last year and I still believe it now, that this guy is going to be as good as Victor Hedman is one day. Like a bona fide top 2 defenseman in this league. So I'm sad. But on a side note, by the way, like if you saw the Blues pressers for both these guys, they look depressed as all hell, man. Like, I felt really bad looking at their faces.
Well, you know what? I might not have talked about that a little bit earlier, but like, don't sign the offer sheet then. You had to willingly choose to sign that offer sheet. Your fault. That is what Vander Kane, what did he say? Fuck around, find out. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Yeah, you make more money, but you're going to be a terrible team. I would... The only thing I really disagree with you, Ari, is the Victor Hedman Broberg comparison. I don't see that at all. I don't see it at all. I mean, he's going to be a decent defenseman, I think, but Victor Hedman is really, really good. I just don't see that one. But maybe, who knows? Waz?
Bag Milk, I need your help to decipher something.
At least you said it normally this time.
Because some crazy shit happened to me and my girlfriend this weekend, okay? So Friday night, we go out, we have some fun.
Uh-huh.
We get home around 2:30 a.m.
Oh, my.
She orders McDonald's. Unfortunately, we pass out before it arrives. So when it shows up at my doorstep, we're asleep, all right? 5 a.m. rolls around.
Rookies. You fucking rookies. You can't order McDonald's and fall asleep. Here's the move, Waz. I assume you guys got home in an Uber. You order that stuff when you leave wherever you're at, and you time it right so that when you get home, your McDonald's is waiting there for you or arrive shortly after. That's the move. Come on, man.
Wake up. I'm like, the McDonald's. My girlfriend's go get it. We've had a couple drinks, right? 5 a.m. I go down to my front door, open the door. I see the McDonald's bag. However, it's ripped apart. something ate our McDonald's. You know, the burger was on the ground, the fries. Wasn't a big fan of the fries. But the thing is, I don't know what caused this to happen. Imagine you open your front door and your McDonald's is all ripped apart. It was freaky. I tried to check my garage camera, whatever. Couldn't see what was at my front door. Something, was it a coyote? A skunk? A raccoon? Like, do we get raccoons on the south side of Edmonton? I don't know. What do you think happened? I'm curious to think what you know.
I don't know nothing. What I do know, though, again, the biggest problem was that you didn't order the McDonald's delivery to arrive when you guys arrived home from your night out. That's the first problem. What I think happened, though, is that there's probably a dog that got loose in your neighborhood. A dog will come and absolutely eat your McDonald's. They will. I thought at first maybe a cat. Cats are known to cruise. I don't know if they would eat your McDonald's, though, but they might. But a dog definitely would. A dog who's just out here, out in the world, wandering, he ate those burgers, man. He ate those burgers. Do we have raccoons here? I don't know that. I don't know that I've ever seen a raccoon in real life, to be honest. Raccoon in Edmonton? Question mark? Google? This is from Global News. It's common belief in Edmonton that the winters are too harsh for raccoons to survive, but make no mistake, they are among us. As Kim Smith explains, I don't know who that is, raccoons have been caught on camera in the city, and researchers are keeping an eye on whether the animals are learning to adapt to the city's cold and dry weather. That is from Global on December 30th of 2020. Could have been a raccoon. Those little fuckers have hands, man. They have like human hands. They could open a McDonald's bag for sure. I still think it's a dog. Could be a cat, mangy one. Speaking of which, I was walking by my house and there was a squirrel just ripped apart, like on the side of the sidewalk, like in the grass part on the sidewalk, you know, towards the right, towards the curb. And all I could think of is fucking cats, man. If you have a cat, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, back to the voicemail. Kyle the Embalmer, you're up.
Hey, BM.
Hello.
Just wanted to address Derek calling me out last week, apparently, about long weekend weddings. Here's the thing. You talked about just go there, have a good time if you're close enough, you got invited to the wedding. Yeah, that could be literally any fucking weekend. The long weekend, maybe when you're an adult and you actually have adult things to do and you have a long weekend, you'll understand the long weekends in the summer mean something. And I mean, honestly, between the two things, I would much rather go to a wedding on New Year's, because New Year's Eve is not a real holiday. New Year's Day is a technical holiday, but New Year's Eve is not a fucking holiday. And New Year's Eve is fucking stupid. So I'd much rather go to a wedding on New Year's Eve. It would actually give it some meaning. You give me something actually exciting to do on New Year's Eve. Go celebrate a friend's wedding, as opposed to losing a long weekend in the summer. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd go to a friend's wedding in a long weekend. But it would just be a little sad that there's only like 4 weekends, long weekends in the summer. Now you've taken a quarter of them. So, yeah, realistically, New Year's Eve's not a real holiday. So get over yourself.
Well, there you go. I like when you guys have beef in the voicemail. I'm not going to lie. I really, really do. This is a 10-seconder. Are you a bumper? What are you?
Okay, so there's PTO rumors going around also. And my predictions, Tyson Barrie or Tony DeAngelo. Why? Because Oilers.
Well, Tyson Barrie I can't see happening. Maybe, I guess. Can't see it. There's no way they would bring him back, would they? Tony DeAngelo, like... I can't see that either. But then again, you say because Oilers, and I go, I mean, the logic is sound. Anyway, Kyle the Embalmer, you're up. You're up next on the A&W voicemail. Well, Better Lait Than Never.
All right, so I thought maybe I'd weigh in on your NFL team stuff.
Yeah, go for it.
Kind of. The reality is, for myself, for the last 2-3 years, I felt like I wanted to find a new team. Sometime in my late teens, for some reason, I decided I was an Atlanta Falcons fan for really no reason at all. And truly, I haven't really followed the team. I liked their merch. But in the last couple of years, I'm like, you know what? I think I might be a free agent.
I think being a free agent, I think quitting on your favorite team is a thing you're allowed to do. More people should do that. Like offer sheets, even though this one hurt us personally. I love offer sheets. I wish there was more of them out there. I also think that you should be allowed to quit on your favorite team when they're annoying.
We find a new team. Now, don't get me wrong, I kind of have been really liking KC, but I also don't want to be that bandwagon guy who jumps on a
Me too.
really good team to then be called a bandwagoner, or the other part, that team start to go into their downslide. And
that's exactly me too. Like when I was in high school, if you asked me what's my favorite NFL team, I would have said the Kansas City Chiefs because I loved Priest Holmes. I loved Priest Holmes. And Dante Hall also. Now I couldn't do it. They're too good. As much as I want to like Patrick Mahomes, I thought the quarterback series that he was in, I thought it was really good. Travis Kelce, he's obviously entertaining. He's got that podcast with his brother. They're both charming. I can't do it. They're too good.
Not be good forever and ever. But somebody made a really good pitch the other couple weeks ago. I think I might be a Raiders fan.
I might join you.
I'm going to have to contemplate that seriously. And I think I might become a Raiders fan. So feel free to join me.
You know what? I might join you. Again, thinking about they're bad, so I don't feel like I'm jumping on a bandwagon. Merch, awesome. Vegas, destination city. There's things to like about the Raiders. Kyle will discuss further. Maybe I'll join you. Finally, let's wrap up the voicemail with another one from Waz.
Bag milk. Clear this up for me, all right?
Go ahead, pal.
My girlfriend's birthday is today. And
Happy birthday.
last week, I asked her, what do you want for your birthday? She says, oh, I don't need anything. Don't get me. It's okay. I'm like, I don't know what to get you. Now, you know where this is going. I, of course, did not take the initiative to go find a gift. Today,
you didn't buy her something for her birthday? Come on, man. Ladies that listen to this podcast, please chime in and help Waz here, because he ran into the I don't want anything, I don't need anything dilemma. Ladies, I don't know why you do that. But Waz, this is a learning opportunity, man. All the married fellas, all the guys with girlfriends, chime in on Waz here too. Forgetting to buy his girlfriend a birthday present.
it's her birthday the other day. So, you didn't get me a gift, did you? I'm like, well, the other week you said you didn't want anything. So, I offered, I can pay to get you a massage or something nice like that. She's like, no, I don't like massages.
Waz. There's always the thought that counts here, man. You could have made her a macaroni necklace, and that would have been better than being like, I could buy you a massage after the fact. Buddy, you need to have her birthday in your calendar and like weeks in advance start thinking about this. Not the day of. I imagine if some of the ladies that listen to this podcast chimed in, they would be saying something similar. Them saying, I don't want anything, doesn't actually mean I don't want anything. It's up to you, my boy. You got to figure it out. It's like when I go to, say I go to McDonald's, or say I go to the wonderful, wonderful A&W down the street. And I go, listen, I'm going to go get myself a poutine from A&W because it's delicious and I'm a little peckish. Do you want anything? And she goes, no, I'm not really hungry. You know I'm going to get her something. Whether it's a root beer, whether it's an order of fries or another poutine, I am not coming home empty-handed. That is not what you do, Waz. You need my help more than I thought.
I'm like, what? So I'm kind of confused. What do I do here? I mean, I got her some flowers. Hopefully that works. I know I should have put more effort into this. I'm screwed, aren't I?
You are screwed, man. Yeah. You should have reached out to me a week before her birthday and asked my opinion, not after the fact. Happy birthday, Cass. Unfortunately, you're dating Waz. And your birthday present that I know you were hoping for, even though you said you wanted nothing. Just a little thought, something thoughtful, a tasteful gift from your boyfriend, from your man. And it didn't arrive. And then after the fact, he goes, I could get you a massage. That's how we wrap up the voicemail. A&W's rallying communities to unite for the cause and raise awareness about MS in Canada. Tomorrow, on August 22nd, Canadians can show their support and help envision a world free of MS by visiting their local A&W restaurant and purchasing a delicious teen burger and directly and positively benefit groundbreaking research in support for a world without MS. Go to A&W. How many teen burgers are you going to eat? How many teen burgers are you going to eat tomorrow? I'm going to swing by there. I'm going to see how many I get. I'm going to start with 2. Start with 2 and work from there. I set the line at 6.5. Now that it's the day before, I'm nervous about my own line. but I'm going to do my best. So we're going to start it off. Tomorrow is Burgers to Beat MS Day. The NW. If you don't want a burger, go to burgerstobeatms.ca. You can make a donation right through there, okay? That's how we're going to wrap up the voicemail. Thank you for everybody who reached out. Please give me your feedback on Waz screwing up his girlfriend's birthday, because that is the most Waz voicemail you could ever hope to hear. You're the best, buddy. I really do. You love you.
Why won't you kiss me? Why won't you kiss me?